15 years. How long has the Veterans Administration been a stain on our honor? At least 2 decades, not 2 years. And so people have a lot of common sense, and I talk about what it actually takes to do the job of the President of the United States today. It takes an understanding of the economy and the world and bureaucracies and technology and leadership.
All right. Well, let's just talk about avian flu. All right. Let's. I do this with candidates, by the way. We're making me all powerful for about 30 seconds. You are President of the United States. It is January 2017, and we get another avian flu attack. Let's, for the sake of argument, not in Iowa or any state. Pick your state. I don't care. California. You then have to, as president, convince the Department of Agriculture that the people on the ground actually have the solutions, and they need to back the heck off. Good luck with that.
Well, you know what we would do? We would send the money from the federal government to the State Department State Department of Agriculture here in Iowa. Let's just say it happened here, and ask them to distribute the money because they are closer to the farmers. They know what these people are capable of. And it's true that some mistakes might be made, but the facts are far fewer mistakes would be made if people who understood this area, understood the industry, understood the business of poultry production, were to do what's necessary instead of some bureaucrat thousands of miles away who doesn't have a clue.
We have so many problems like that, so many similar problems. I mean, you're saying it's January 2017 and the first thing you're going to do is fight a turf war.
Of course. But by the way, I would have help. I would have reinforcements. And you know who the reinforcements are going to be? The citizens of this nation.
Yeah.
And as you and I have talked about before, I would regularly address, I will regularly address the citizens of this nation and ask them to weigh in on important questions. So I might go into the Oval Office and say, I'd like to talk to citizens of Iowa. Do you think that Iowans know better how to deal with this problem now than bureaucrats in Washington, D.C.? Please take out your smartphones, press 1 for yes, 2 for no. Iowans are going to vote, and Iowans are going to vote for the common sense solution. And the reason I would engage them in that discussion is because when people let their feelings and opinions be known, it's called pressure on the political system, and politicians respond to pressure.
You see, you're proving me right. We never endorse any candidate, by the way, on this show, so don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. But I did a TV hit with Newsman. And the final question, because I said it was the day Kasich entered the race, and I said, hey, now we got 16, we can have brackets. Right?
There you go.
There you go. And the host said, no, let's have a survivor island. And then he asked, there was me and another guy, he asked us, who would be the survivor? I said, you. And he said, why Carly Fiorina? I said, she's a tough woman. Women are way tougher than men anyway, which we, those of us who are prepared to be honest know already. If it wasn't for women, the race would have died out a long time ago, because there's no way men are ever giving birth. But you're a tough woman, but you're a tough person. It's not the woman thing, it's you're a tough person. The woman thing just happens to come with it. Are you managing to get over that thing, you're the woman in the race? I've seen so many people talk about it. Oh, we have to get the woman on the debate stage. Are you feeling that?
Well, first of all, I appreciate very much what you said.
Yeah, not an endorsement. Not an endorsement.
I know. Use it. Nevertheless, I really appreciate what you said.
Your campaign person's on the other side of this studio. I'm just going to look at her. That is not a press release. It is not an endorsement.
Yeah, we know that. We know that, Simon. And I appreciate very much what you said to Newsmax, nevertheless, and we won't abuse that. But I'm not running because I'm a woman, but the facts are I am a woman.
Yeah.
And being a woman is part of who I am.
Sure.
It's also true that loads of people out there, men and women, would love to see me debate Hillary Clinton.
Oh,
and the reason they would love to see me debate Hillary Clinton is because they know that if I face her, when I face her, hopefully with the people of Iowa's help, when I face her on a general election debate stage, there's a whole bunch of stuff she wants to talk about that she can't talk about. Well, instead, what she's going to have to talk about is, her track record or lack thereof, her trustworthiness or lack thereof, and she's going to have to talk about her policies. And on that ground, we can win this election.
I mean, from a Republican's point of view, the one advantage, I mean, I'm sure there are many others, and I don't want you to be insulted by this in any way, but the one advantage of you being their nominee is that no longer can the people of America say we're going to elect someone because of their plumbing. which I do think is going to happen if it's man versus woman. And by the way, it could be man versus woman on the other side. The Democrats have not unveiled their secret weapon yet, which I believe is Joe Biden. We are in the middle, I'll tell you, I really do. We're in the middle of a conversation with Carly Fiorina. I'm going to pause very briefly. She wants to be our president. You can join that conversation. I'm sure she will take some calls at 284-1040, 800-469-4295. Right now, we're going to catch up on the roads with Jim Brown right here, News Radio 1040 WHO.
From the Shaw Heating and Cooling Traffic Splash. Several accidents working.
Mic off. I have a very quick live read to do, and if you're in town, you should go try this restaurant out. Can you strip the other stuff out to past the top of the hour, please?
Yeah.
I'll do Splash and then come back. Great. Very, very cool. You are on Periscope right now, by the way.
I see that.
Oh, cool.
You know, my microphone says it's off. I guess
Yeah,
it
no,
doesn't
your
matter.
microphone is off.
It says off.
Yeah, it is off right now. Your microphone is off.
Oh, they turned it off.
Yeah, my producers does. Yeah,
Oh, yes.
when we're on break.
I haven't had much sleep either.
In order to take the calls, you will, however, need the headphones.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully they work, and hopefully not too loud. We're good. Good.
Showers and storms by early morning. Low of 74.
It's actually over there. The volume's over here. Too loud?
Can you turn that volume just a little bit?
ITT Technical Institute. ITT Tech emphasizes developing skills and knowledge in technical areas that can have practical value in the workplace. Year-round classes can help you complete your education and enter the workforce sooner. Call ** ITT from your mobile phone to find out more.
There you go. Carly Fiorina live in the WHO radio studio. We're going to talk to her a bit more in a minute. You can join us on iHeart as well. Show us some love, will you?
I love a big show. Like they say, it's food, fuel, and fun.
Love listening for what will come up with next. News Radio 1040 WHO.
You know, everyone knows Splash Seafood Bar and Grill is Iowa's premier seafood destination. All the fish at Splash is jet fresh, never frozen. It comes straight off the boats into the kitchens at Splash, less than 24 hours. And as a seafood lover who lived in Florida for 11 years, I do know the difference. This summer, Splash is featuring fresh, wild Alaskan salmon. They're following the runs of the sockeyes and the chinooks. In addition to all that Jeff Fresh seafood Splash offers, they have an abundance of locally grown fresh produce as well. All summer long, Splash sources the latest and freshest Iowa-grown vegetables like sweet corn, tender baby lettuces, green beans, and other favorites from local producers like Reinhardt Farms in Boone and Cleverly Farms in Mingo. Splash, your home for fresh fish and fun. My favorite seafood restaurant anywhere in the country. Call for reservations 515-244-5686, 244-5686. Des Moines' premier seafood destination, Splash Seafood Bar and Grill, 303 Locust in Des Moines. I will probably see you there.
Live and local. First and fast. News Radio 1040 WHO.
We are in studio with Carly Fiorina. She wants to be our president. You can listen on here. You can also follow us on Periscope right now at Simon Radio 1776. And if we make us squirm, well, you can watch us squirm just a little bit. What are the two big things we are facing as a nation, in a nutshell?
The potential of this nation is being crushed by the weight, the power, the cost, the complexity, the ineptitude, and the creeping corruption of the federal government of this nation. Mm-hmm. And the world is growing more dangerous and more tragic by the day because America is no longer leading.
All right, let's deal with the second one first. I believe that we are facing an enemy which the president won't even name, by the way, won't call them by their name. We are facing an enemy that we're not treating seriously. If you are president in January 2017, you're going to be looking at the smallest military since 1940. It's insane.
It is insane.
What are you going to do to fix it fast?
Well, first, to your point, we must have the strongest military on the face of the planet, and everybody has to know it. That's why it's so important that we invest in our fighting men and women, arms and materiel, and it's also why we have to actually fix the Veterans Administration, because if we do not care for those who have already served us, then how can we expect others to serve? In the immediate term, I would make 2 phone calls, actually on day 1, to reset how our allies and our adversaries view us. Phone call 1 to Bibi Netanyahu, my good friend, the Prime Minister of Israel, to reassure him that we will stand with the State of Israel, but also to reassure all our other allies who are watching how we treat Israel, whether they agree with Israel or not, and saying, you know what, if the United States treats Israel this way, what is our friendship worth? The second phone call would be to the Supreme Leader of Iran. He might not take the phone call, but the message would be clear. I don't care what the deal is that John Kerry signed or Barack Obama signed or the Chinese or the Russians or the Europeans or the UN signed. New deal. Until you open every military and nuclear facility to anytime, anywhere inspections, we will make it as hard for you to move money around the global financial system as possible. We can do that. We can cut off their access to the SWIFT system, a processing and payment system. And people all around the world, our adversaries and allies alike, would also get the message. The United States of America is back in the leadership business. I wouldn't call Vladimir Putin, although I've met him. But I would start rebuilding the Sixth Fleet, start rebuilding the missile defense program, start conducting very aggressive military exercises in the Baltics and moving troops in and out of Germany. And he would get the message. And I would also immediately hold a Camp David summit to which I would invite our Arab allies who know ISIS is their fight. They have asked us for very specific kinds of support, bombs, materiel, sharing intelligence, weapons. We haven't provided any of it. Most of them are fighting ISIS on the ground as we speak, and they need leadership support and resolve from us.
Jordan just got helicopters from Israel.
Yes, and you know what? Others of our Arab allies have turned to the Chinese, the Jordanians. King Abdullah of Jordan, I've known him for 15 years. He comes to this country asking for bombs and materiel. We don't provide it, so he's going to the Chinese.
The Chinese, according to the Israelis, big.
Well, of course they are.
Big. I was in Israel August last year on a delegation with Senator Rick Santorum. He was there for the first 48 hours. He left. I stayed for the whole week. The second they left, right, the Stars and Stripes was pulled down in this hotel. The second they left. I'm not even sure they were out of the parking lot. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this is a kind of weird. The Israelis then went and replaced the Stars and Stripes with the Chinese flag. Santorum's delegation was about 10, 12, 15 people maybe, I can't quite remember. And they left. In came 2 busloads of Chinese government officials. At least 100 people came off those buses into that very same hotel that Santorum had just left. The Israelis don't want to go there, but they'll go there.
Absolutely.
Because they're very pragmatic. They don't want to, but they will. Dory Gold, the current foreign minister, defense minister, foreign minister, I can't remember. He just got a cabinet position. He told me personally that the Israelis will go there if they have to.
Well, of course they will, and so will all of our other allies, because if we are not leading, if we are not standing by them, if we are not supplying them with what they need, the Chinese surely will, and the Chinese are our growing adversary. One of the things this president has done is not act until it's too late to act. So Syria, he could have made the Syrian situation better if he had acted in time, worked with the Turks, armed the moderate rebels. Now the situation is far more complex.
Yeah. You did say something before, which I want to, because time moves so fast in here, and I do want to give the listeners a chance to ask you at least one question. Time moves very fast in here. You did say you would rebuild the Sixth Fleet. That doesn't That doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't.
Reagan was faced with something very similar. One of the things he did is he recommissioned this guy. I'm wearing the USS Iowa hat right now, ladies and gentlemen. That's a battleship. It's equipped with cruise missiles. It's actually equipped to carry the special cruise missiles as well. I just fired the 5-inch guns on that ship on July the 4th, so it works. I don't know how long the recommissioning would take, but I suspect not as long as it took when Reagan did it. Maybe not the Iowa, but we have an awful lot of ships out there that are on a scrap heap.
That's right.
Is that a fast option for a Carly Fiorina administration?
Of course, but it starts with the goal. The goal must be that we have the strongest military on the face of the planet, and everyone has to know it. And then you employ every option available to you to achieve that objective as quickly as possible.
And trust me, I'm not suggesting the USS Iowa is the future of
no,
the
I
US
understand,
Navy.
but
I'm just looking for a fast fix.
Right, let's deploy the assets we have in the most intelligent way. By the way, as we watch this president lay off 40,000 soldiers, for heaven's sakes, we can't lay off anybody in government, but somehow we managed to do it to soldiers. As we talk about the sequester cuts, we should remember that the sequester was an idea of professional politicians in Washington, D.C. that was devise during a game of political gotcha.
Yeah, it was so horrific, nobody would ever allow it to happen.
And here we are.
Let's go to Greg. Thank you for your patience, Greg. You are on with Carly Fiorina.
Hi, Greg. I would do three things. I would repeal Obamacare. We can't tinker around the edges. We can't reform it. It's literally tens of thousands of pages of gobbledygook that nobody understands. And so we now have health insurance companies consolidating before our eyes. Aetna and Cigna. Number two, I would let the states manage high-risk pools. We have examples of success. New Hampshire, for example, managed a high-risk pool very well. And third, I would try the one thing in health insurance we've never tried, the free market.
Gosh, don't say that. That's heresy. You can't try the free market. I believe the market is a solution for a lot of our problems.
That's right. And health insurance always has been a cozy little regulated oligopoly between regulators and health insurance companies. We took it away from 50 states and turned it into one gigantic national regulated oligopoly, and it's not serving consumers.
And answered, Greg. Hopefully you're satisfied with that. Loads of stuff coming in on my text line. All of it complimentary, Carly Fiorina. Potential presidential material, no question. In a few minutes I have listened right here now. She is more well-rounded than anybody in Washington outside of maybe Ted Cruz. I read everything that comes in, word for word. So there you go. A lot of people like what they are hearing. We've got about a minute left. You dealt with the military side of things. The economy is a huge problem. You just mentioned a market solution to Obamacare. Is the market the ultimate decider for the economy as well?
Yes, it is. And what's happening now, because of the size and complexity and power of government, is crony capitalism has run amok. That's because the only way to handle big, complicated government is to be big. So if you're big, if you're powerful, if you're wealthy, if you're well-connected, you can handle all this big government. But if you're small and powerless, you can't. Why does that matter? Because the engine of economic growth in this nation has always been small businesses, new businesses, family-owned businesses or farms, community-based businesses, and those are being crushed. We're destroying more of them than we're creating for the first time in U.S. history. So we have to lift the weight of this government off of the back of small business so that we can get this economy going and growing again.
Carly Fiorina, we have got to do this again. It's fascinating talking to you. I really enjoyed having you in here. We did suggest that maybe you would stay for one segment after the news. I'm getting a thumbs up from your staff, so we'll continue this very briefly after we pause for news right here, News Radio 1040 WHO.
Heating and Cooling Traffic Center.